Welcome to One on One. I'm Steve Adubato. If you see The Open, you check out one of the stars in The Open. It's Chris Cuomo, and he's here right here. Not even in The Open, he's here right here. Chris Cuomo, anchor, CNN's New Day, seen every day at
6 to 9 in the morning, Eastern Standard Time. Something I wasn't aware of when I started the job. I didn't recognize that we don't do a delay and play it again for the West Coast.
You know.
But that's the reality of 24 Live. So what do you got, Adubato? And why do you look so good?
It's not a question of what I got. It's a question. Well, you know, I've had work done. So here's the thing.
Good work. Give
it
me
is
your guy.
good work, right? Very subtle.
You got a pen?
Here's the no. It's too soon for you. You're not ready. All right, you ready? Here we go. We are taping when we're taping. You tape. You don't tape. You do it live. So the next day, it's a whole new story. I'm not asking you for a prediction. I'm asking you to talk about, as you see the state of our nation today with President Trump as our president, how far apart are we?
Look, there are divisions, most of which have always existed, right? I'm nowhere near the historian that Chris Matthews.
Chris Matthews just left here from another network. Go ahead.
I mean, you know, such a learned guy, and that's very helpful right now. The divisions that exist have been there, the exacerbating of them, the broadening of them, using them. That is what makes this period special. We're seeing division be used as a tactic outwardly in a way we haven't in a long time. And the scary part is that it's effective. The natural counter to it, unity, remember what we're really about, who we are in this country, why we've excelled. It sounds cheap now. It sounds plastic right now. We don't have it authentically being delivered in a way that people can see it as a reason to believe. The divisions have always existed. You know, you can go back to the Federalists in that first wave after the Revolution in the late 1700s into the 1800s when they passed the sedition law and made it illegal to speak against John Adams. That was about elites versus the commoners.
Today?
The congressman from Massachusetts, Lyon, L-Y-O-N, Google him. He became the equivalent of the new populism we're seeing now. Fight against the elites. They're bad. It's us versus them. This is a fight for who we are, our soul. And that's powerful medicine.
Don't they?
I think people tend to believe things deeply in this country. And when you start playing with bedrock values, and sometimes it's just helpful, like for the gun lobby, to make it into an analogy for freedom, a fundamental right.
They frame it that way.
Very effective. Because now, even if I don't own guns, I'm like, yeah, but I should be able to. And how dare you try to compromise my right, compromise my freedom?
Yeah, but Chris, the other part of this, and again, we're not going to date ourselves because we're disclosing when we're doing this. But I was watching Chris this morning and your colleagues, and you happen to be talking to Kellyanne Conway. By the way, search Cuomo and Conway, some good stuff. But the thing that struck me about it is that this whole, we're doing Roy Moore. I don't know what's going to happen in that race. By the time you see this, we will know.
He should win.
Okay, you mean he should win because you're looking at the polls. You don't mean he should win.
No, I'm saying the demographics of that place, how he's been rewarded for his positions in the past. This guy got removed twice from the Chief Justice. Okay. The judges put out a combination message on him. Yeah, his colleagues put out a message about him that was completely condemnatory.
I know there's a mall that he can't go to there as well. But here is my larger question. I saw you continually press this question, and I want to talk about it now. Politics is politics. Having enough votes in the Senate is having enough votes in the Senate to pass, whether it's an infrastructure bill, a tax bill, whatever you're doing on Obamacare. Fine, I get it. The question is, have we gotten to the point where we're so divided, Chris, as you perceive it as a journalist, and as someone who comes from a family who understood politics and understands it better than most? Long-winded question, I know, but here it is. That someone who is legitimately, credibly accused of molesting teenagers while he's in his 30s in a very public law enforcement position in that state, that the president and others would say, I would rather have him, and again, we don't know how the race is going to go, I would rather have him than have a liberal Democrat. Where the hell is the bar?
Which is what Trump used to be, by the way. And that matters also.
What do you mean by that?
Trump used to have much more liberal positions. He changed over time, and I don't think it was revelatory. I think it was out of convenience. I think that there's a pragmatism at play here that's as obvious as it is shameful. Roy Moore has every right to due process. He has every right to say these accusations are false. If he can prove it, great, but if he just wants to say it, he should. And there has to be vetting. Not all accusations are
Agreed.
equal. I know that's unpopular to say right now, and I don't mean in any way to delegitimize the voice of women and how they are treated anywhere, let alone the workplace. But it's true. You're not going to know whether or not these things
will
are true.
never
There
know,
will
yeah.
there will be no beyond the reasonable doubt. There will be no investigation that satisfies. I don't believe. However, to your question, if I find allegations about you troubling, okay, so then
Which the White House said.
that's right, I've passed the threshold here. So I don't think it's BS. I don't think the women are all lying, otherwise I wouldn't think they're troubling. So even though they are troubling, I will choose you out of political expediency because I don't know 100%, and I do know 100% that this guy's not going to vote with me.
You mean if another person got elected?
That's right. That is problematic from a principle position. And that's what I said this morning. I think that that is an objective statement of the stakes involved. The media picks it up as Cuomo says Trump has no morals. Untrue. Never said it. Don't believe it. Not my place to say it. What I said is the position suggests that it's not about morality for you because you said they're troubling.
It's about a vote in the Senate?
It's about a vote in the Senate.
You think
it's about
Democrats
a guy
are
who
any
agrees
different?
with you.
In an effort to be fair, which is what we do at public broadcasting, and be balanced, fair and balanced. I don't know where I heard that before, but here's the thing. Do you think Democrats are any different? I know that as we're doing this show, Congressman Conyers has stepped aside, 88 years old. We don't know who's going to take us, but that's not the issue. The Al Franken issue got thrown into it. We don't know what's going to happen with him. Do you think Democrats at the core are any different? Like, we need that vote in Congress, don't really care what that guy and his guys, what he did, allegedly did.
I am not a huge proponent of the party system as it stands today. George, Yeah, George Washington said, beware of parties. Beware of this alternating power struggle between factions. And I think that's where we are. Who's better, who's worse? It depends on what, in what moment, and who you're talking about. I do not think that Franken is the Democrats more. I know that's what the Republicans want to use him as, but it just isn't. The allegations don't stand up the way that
I appreciate what
those
you're
do.
saying, and I heard how you described this morning, and people could check out what you said, but there's the larger question. Do you think the environment we're in, and I'm going to move to the media in a second, do you think the environment we are in, when it comes to this massive and important issue of sexual misconduct in the workplace and other places?
I don't like that word, by the way.
What do you want? I'm not going to use abuse. I'm not going to use abuse because sometimes it's assault, and I'm not sure what word to use. What do you use?
I think that this is part of the problem, is that it's not all the same. Roy Moore, you're talking about allegations of assault, and then you have the dating thing with the teens. That's a cultural question. That's a different
Not sure
thing.
how you date a 14-year-old, but go ahead.
Well, no, that's assault, okay? That is, by definition, below the age of consent. But assault, criminal harassment, those are real categories. Civil harassment is a real standard.
Remind folks that you have a legal background.
Then we have all these buckets of behavior that we need to reconcile culturally. But you do not want to throw them all together. You don't want to throw a Franken in with a Moore, and not because I give a damn that Franken is a Democrat. I don't care. I'm a Cuomo. My father was nothing like the Democrats of today.
True.
All right? My brother is not that much like my father on different things today. They're different conditions.
And neither
they're
are
different
you.
circumstances. And I have such a built-in contempt for partisanship. The idea, when people say to me, hey, I like you on TV, you should run for office, it bothers me like you just called my kid ugly.
Because you have to pick a party? And you don't
Because
believe
the
in the
idea
party
that I
system?
would want to be in politics because I'm a good journalist, I see them as worlds apart.
But Chris, people, listen, I'm not going to play up to you on this, but because your dad and I talked about this years ago. If you want to search our website, the greatest interview, I've told you this before, I'll say again, by far, 27 years in the business, by far the most compelling, interesting interview, respectfully not with you, with your dad. Check it out. But here's what struck me. Your dad was committed to public service. You are committed to public service. Are you saying that really good people who maybe happen to be journalists, who happen to be running a nonprofit, whatever they do, that if they have something to contribute, that is not the venue, the political venue, serving in public office is not a particularly effective way to make a difference?
The state of things right now make it very difficult to say that's your best way to help society. The bar of entry is so high, it's so ugly. What is rewarded is so vicious. That my brother, people talk about him, what he's going to do. I wish he'd get out.
The governor of the great state
The governor
Empire
of New
State.
York is another Cuomo, and I wish he'd get out. I know he mocks me when I say this. It's all he wants to do. is public service. He has no interest.
He's good at it.
In making money. That's your opinion. He has no interest in making money. He has no interest in doing anything else. He'd rather lose, just like Pop. I never thought Andrew would say it that way. I thought that he was more practical than that he saw the strain and the pain on Pop. Pop knew he was going to lose in '94. He knew he was going to lose.
The governorship.
Yes. And he did it
protect it.
anyway. And yes, and my brother said, Pop, you're going to lose this race. You got to shut up about the death penalty. You talk about the death penalty all the time. People want it. You're against it. Pop said, then I lose. Then I lose. Andrew feels the same way. I feel that it's just so negative.
Yeah.
There's so little progress going on. There's so much currency in the division that I don't know why you get in there.
You know, there's a story that your dad told me on the air that he told other people in an interview, and I believe it had to do with his mom, your grandmother. It was a Koch Cuomo thing. I believe it was the death penalty. And there are some people who said, Mario, you're big, so strong, so tough, but you're so weak. I'll paraphrase, and you know the story when it comes to the death penalty. And he said, Mom, I'm against the death penalty. She said, well, I believe your grandmother said, well, why don't you tell them that you're for the death penalty? And then after the election, what did that mean? I changed my mind.
Right.
And your father, I believe, and he said in the interview, I would rather lose.
Yeah.
Where is that today,
He did lose.
Christopher? But where is that sense? All right, but where is that sense of
but that's why they don't wanna
integrity,
lose.
honesty?
They don't want to lose. Winning.
At all costs.
Winning. That's what it's about. Look at the tactics. Look what they do once they get in. Look at the money. Look at what kind of BS they do to keep the money in. It's obvious. And I do not mean to condemn the character of everybody who go into public service.
And we want people to run for office who can make a difference.
Yeah, but I get why they don't.
Right. Can you do the media with me for a second?
Whatever you want to do.
Where are we in all this? Not just in terms of issues involving sexual conduct, whatever phrase you want to use. So many of our colleagues gone quickly, connection with allegations. There's no process that plays out. They're gone quickly. Where are we today? Not only in terms of that, but in terms of our responsibility with this president and those in public life. And why does somebody hate us? Loaded question, I know.
Why do so many people hate it? I feel that very acutely, by the way. And I'm...
Or distrust us at best.
Yeah, no, it's bad. It's bad. The president has had an impact. Bravo to him. He has made people not like me 100% out of the box because of what he says about us being fake. It's been effective. Good for him. I hope he takes some type of pride in that. And the sad thing is he probably does. I think it's problematic. Now, is it completely unwarranted? No. The media deserves criticism. The idea that we are a monolith is absurd. Adubato is not Cuomo. What you do here at PBS, the integrity you bring to things, the depth you bring to things, is different than other people on other shows and what they do. So we're not a monolith. We don't have each other's back. There is no coordination.
There's no collusion.
There is no collusion in any way because you know, there's so many in this business who would take you down for bad or no reason like that.
You too?
So, yeah, believe me. So that's the state of this business. It is not an easy or often a generous business. But there are people who are doing it for the right reasons, as with public service. Where are we vis-a-vis Trump? It ain't easy. It ain't easy because it all depends on why you do the job. There are different types of journalists. Some want to be the first to the fire. Some want to have the new information first.
You?
No. I am. I mean, look.
I'm asking I've seen you out there.
Yeah, when you can be first. No, I need to be where it is relevant. I am willing to take that risk. My wife and my kids understand it, that this is who I am. I think it matters. I prepare myself the best I can. I want to be there. I want to witness history. I want to tell people what matters and what doesn't matter and on what I base that on so that they have the information to make their own opinions. It really matters to me. I think it's the highest form of the job. Live TV in a breaking situation where there are high stakes and it matters that people understand and can connect. But I like to test. That's what I want to do. I want to test power. That is hard to do right now because the testing is being seen as an inherent form of jaundice. And it's effective. And so the media is searching.
Even if we are pressing, questioning, challenging, that is our constitutional right and responsibility. And in the context of that, even with all the mistakes that are made by many of our colleagues, we've made them as well, we have become the enemy in the eyes of millions.
We have become the enemy, but you have to be careful about context. Who is Trump playing to? His poll numbers, doesn't matter when you hear this, they're low. In fact, what will be interesting is to see how the media plays the almost inevitable bump in the polls that the president will get, whether it's the tax bill or something. He's going to do something where he's going to pop from 35 to 42. And people are going to say this is one of the biggest increases in the polls in the amount of time that we've ever seen. And that will be true, too. So context matters. His base, can he win with his base? It's hard to see how. His challenge has always been to grow it. He's chosen not to do that. He's chosen to concentrate power as opposed to expand it to this point. But the media has to make its own choices. You have to decide, is it worth the punch in the nose to say what you think is right?
You say yes every day.
Every damn day. That's the only reason I do it. It's the only reason I do it.
Check out Chris Cuomo and Allison Camerata, who is terrific. Every day from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on CNN. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you for what you do.
Thank you for what you do. Be right back right after this.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by NJIT, Holy Name Medical Center in Teaneck, New Jersey, QualCare Inc., New Jersey Sharing Network, the Russell Berry Foundation, Suez, and by NJM Insurance Group. Promotional support provided by NJ.com, Small News, Big News, True Jersey, and by HipNewJersey.com. Live hard, work hard, play hard. You're from New Jersey, and so are we. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.